Welcome back, everyone, for your stimulus update. Today on this episode, we're going to keep it simple. I'm just going to show you the most important things that each side said about the stimulus coming up right after this. Once again, welcome back to your stimulus update for today, Thursday, October 22nd. Overall, the news coming out today about stimulus is generally very good. As it was yesterday, we continue forward in the same vein. It looks like both sides are starting to come together very much closer to a final agreement being made. With that said, the best information we got today about the stimulus updates was from Nancy Pelosi and Larry Kudlow. So first, let's go ahead and start off with Nancy Pelosi.
House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin continue to work toward a stimulus deal as time is running out to reach an agreement before Election Day. And Speaker Pelosi joins us now. Madam Speaker, thank you for being on. Give us a sense as to exactly where these talks stand and what the hope is to get relief to the American people.
Yes, the Secretary and I continue our conversation. We're about pretty soon ready to put pen to paper. We actually already are making certain proposals in that regard, because if we don't crush the virus, we're never going to be able to open our economy, our schools, and everything safely. Finally, and that, when I say finally, I mean in the last couple of days, the administration has agreed to a strategic plan, science-based, well-funded, to take on the virus. This has taken all these months since February, and in our bill since 5 months ago, March 14th. But now we're at a place where they have finally, and again, only the last few days, but nonetheless, I see that as progress. We have other issues that we have to deal with, but we're on a good path.
This is the first of Nancy Pelosi's interviews with MSNBC. She also did a second one, which I'm going to show you in just a moment. But let's go ahead and look at the information she gave us from this interview. She said that pretty soon they are going to be ready to put pen to paper. And in fact, she said already they've been doing that on a number of things. Basically, they're coming down to the line here and they're wrapping up the final little things that they need to do. Granted, they still have some more work to do, but now she's saying we're putting pen to paper on this, which is just a statement of we're getting where we need to go. She also said we're on a good path, which is showing optimism, which is the same thing we heard yesterday, which was very different than what we were hearing a week ago or 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago. This is a very optimistic Nancy Pelosi. Remember her on Wolf Blitzer? Do I need to play the Wolf Blitzer for you again? It's very different right now than it was a week and a half ago. And this is a good thing because obviously at the end of the day, we all want this to finally get passed. So I'm not looking for Wolf Blitzer Nancy Pelosi right now. This is very optimistic Nancy Pelosi. Now, of course, she did add in her jabs that it's taken the last couple of days to do this, and it's been since February. I do take issue with that because I don't think it's been the last couple of days. Steven Mnuchin, as a negotiator, has been moving up since the beginning of this negotiations. They started at $1 trillion, then they came to $1.3 trillion, then $1.5 trillion, then 1.6, 1.66, 1.8, 1.88. And she's saying, well, the last couple of days, I take issue with that. I see Steven Mnuchin and the White House genuinely trying to get something done. They've been changing the language. They've been working on this for a very long time, and I wish that she wouldn't say that because clearly they have been trying their best, although it seems in the last couple of days they've been even moving closer to what Nancy Pelosi wants. In addition, she said it's taken since February. I also take issue with that because the Republicans and the Democrats together have passed over $3 trillion worth of stimulus already. This is just another stimulus bill. So they've done things since February, but we need more. And that's why we're working on this. So I wish you would just calm down a little bit on some of those jabs, which I find to be a little incorrect. Nancy Pelosi did give a second interview, so let's go to that right now.
Speaker Pelosi, it's Willie Geist. Good to have you on this morning. As you talk about your negotiation with Secretary Mnuchin, I understand you all will be speaking again today to try to get a deal. There was some indication from Mark Meadows and others that you might have a deal even by the end of the week. Does that still sound right to you? And what do you say to all those people who I know you hear from in your own district who are really suffering and aren't interested in the political fight but want to save their small business or their family and they need some money in their pocket as soon as possible?
I say help is on the way. It will be better. It will be bolder. It will be safer. and it will be retroactive. But the fact is that while we can't correct everything in one bill, we shouldn't be making matters worse. And that's what the Republicans have been doing, making matters worse. So in our legislation, we're coming closer to what we must do: crush the virus, honor our heroes, our state and local governments, healthcare workers, transportation, sanitation, teachers, police and fire, first responders who make our system work. And they risk their lives to save lives, and now they may lose their jobs. And you heard the president's irresponsible, really stupid tweet that he did again. Well, need I characterize his tweets? That seems to be standard fare. But the fact is that we have to do that if we're going to have the healthcare people in work, the teachers in place, and the rest to get the job done, and then, of course, to put money in the pockets of the American people. My view is the president has only wanted to be able to send out that check, but one check is not the solution to this. We have to have ongoing, and that's one of the debates we're having right now, is earned income tax credit, child tax credit, things to lift people out of poverty. 6 to 8, depending on the numbers you follow, million people have fallen into poverty, back into poverty, as the CARES Act benefits wear off. We have to restore that. One check doesn't do it. We'd rather, it's like I'm sending you a fish instead of I'm setting you up to fish.
Do you think there'll be a deal before Election Day, Speaker Pelosi?
That would be my hope. We could do it in the House. You hear what the leader in the Senate is saying, but that's really up to the president. We're negotiating with him. We've made progress, and I have to say we've made progress in this regard, but we're still not there. But we can be. We can be, and we know, our members know how people are suffering. That's who we represent. That's what our fight is about. You should see the fight we had to get food. To get food, it was a fight. So understand, we don't share values. So it's a harder discussion than usual. But I'm still optimistic because I think both sides want to come to agreement. Otherwise, why would we even be talking to each other? I mean, this is not, shall we say, an enjoyable conversation, but in any event, it's necessary to have.
So there's Nancy Pelosi's second interview on MSNBC. She was directly asked, by the end of the week, is it possible to get this done? Because there were some reports, especially by Mark Meadows and others, that possibly in 48 hours as of yesterday, they could get a deal done. She responded by saying help is on the way, better, bolder, safer, and retroactive. And then she moved forward into bashing the Republicans and saying that the Republicans are making matters worse. That's what they're doing. Not exactly sure why and how. But she said that Donald Trump only wants to send out a check with his name on it. I would give her that a little bit. I believe that Donald Trump's focus is primarily on the stimulus check. He wants to give stimulus checks to the American people. He's not so much focused on the nuances of everything else. Of course, I do believe, in fact, that he wants to help other areas like small businesses and unemployment. That is, in fact, why he has Steven Mnuchin, the Secretary of the Treasury, heading up the negotiations here with Nancy Pelosi. And that is also why, in fact, they're upping the numbers all the time, up to $1.9 trillion or so right now. And then he went back to the question. He said, can you get this done before Election Day? And she said that she hopes that she can get a deal done before Election Day. But she said that is on the president. I may disagree with her there. I actually think it's on her. And then eventually it's going to be on Mitch McConnell and the Senate Republicans. But it's really on her right now. She said, we have made progress. We are still not there, but we can be. And she said at the end of that interview that they are optimistic. So again, more of the same. There's a lot more optimism right now. It seems like they are coming closer. There are details that they do not have figured out yet, especially when it comes to a lot of the government money, school money. It looks like they're figuring out things when it comes to the healthcare side of things with the testing, tracing, and treatment. So a lot of the verbiage is working out there, but it's not fully ready yet. And we'll see a lot more of that in the next interview I'm going to show you right now. And this is Larry Kudlow.
Larry Kudlow joins us now, National Economic Council Director. Larry, would you give us an update on the status of the stimulus talks as of right now?
Well, look, the talks continue to talk, and committee people in both houses are discussing key issues, Senate and House, chairs. But having said that, there are still significant policy differences between the two teams, and those policy differences have not yet been solved. They have not been resolved.
Can I jump in for a second, Larry? Those policy
Sure.
differences would be bailing out big Democrat states and liability for businesses. I mean, that's it. That's the sticking points, isn't it?
Those are two important sticking points, Stuart. You're exactly right. The president weighed in yesterday regarding the state and local spending. He does not want to bail out poorly managed states, red, blue, or otherwise. He doesn't want to bail them out, doesn't want to bail out their unfunded pensions. That stuff can be dealt with later, next year, not right now. It's not about economic assistance or COVID safety, for example, so you're quite right. And there are other issues about health care and disbursements to illegal immigrants and this and that. So the HEROES Act from the House has got to be amended significantly more than has been the case. Our team believes we've come a long way. So again, the talks are talking. That's how I would put it. There's some optimism, but it hasn't been resolved.
It just sounds like you're still far apart, and it really sounds like we're probably not going to get a deal before the election. I mean, that's what it sounds like to me.
Well, the clock is ticking. The clock is ticking. At some point, you got to ask yourself, I mean, just to get legislative agreement and votes in two houses and committee print, that takes time. We got, 12 days left or something. So, yeah, that's true. The clock is ticking.
Okay, Larry Kudlow there, economic advisor to Donald Trump on Fox Business. So he started things off by saying the talks continue to talk. That might be an apt way of saying it, I guess. But of course, Nancy Pelosi, Steve Mnuchin are still talking. But he was also talking about the chairs in the chambers as well. But then he went on to finally say the significant policy differences have not yet been resolved. This is similar to what Nancy Pelosi is saying as well. Although later on he said that there is some optimism and that the deal could be reached, which sounds a lot like Nancy Pelosi. So we do see some agreement here on what they're saying. They are saying that they are getting closer. Things are starting to work out. But there is some policy differences and some verbiage differences in there that they have not yet figured out. He said that one of those is bailing out the states. Obviously, we know that the Republican plan has around $300 billion in it. At least the White House plan eventually would be passed by the Senate if possible. And then also the liability insurance are a couple things. Nancy Pelosi has stated this as well, but she does it with a little bit more couth in saying that it's for different individuals within the states, of course, teachers, firefighters, those sorts of things. So she wants that money based off of telling you about the people that are getting hurt, rather than saying, hey, we want to give $500 billion to the states. Well, the firefighters and the police and the teachers, they need help in the schools. So it makes it sound better on her end. On the other end, they look at it and they say, well, this is just bailing out all of the poorly run states. So is there somewhere in the middle that is probably correct? Yeah. But that's why I like the idea that the White House plan gives $300 billion to state and local governments so that they can have the money they need for all this pandemic-related cost. And it will easily take care of that pandemic-related cost. And so, of course, he said that there were some other policy issues. The clock is ticking. That interview ended with saying, can it get done before the election? Really, he was saying, we don't think it's going to happen before the election. Is that possible? And then Larry Kudlow said, well, the clock is ticking. That's a good question to ask. And, of course, will they be able to put this on the floor in the House and then finally pass it, put it on the floor in the Senate and pass it and get it to Donald Trump's desk? I don't think so. To me, what you want to get done before the election is at least the agreement between Nancy Pelosi and Steve Mnuchin. That's what you want to get before the election. If you can get that done, then the rest you can move forward as needed. Of course, the hope was to do it within the next few days, but if they can do that before the election, that's really what we want to get done. To get it through both of the chambers and then to the president's desk, I don't really see how that's going to happen before the election. But overall, like I said, the news is still optimistic and better than Nancy Pelosi on Wolf Blitzer Day. If you remember that, the news is a lot better. They are coming closer. But I really do still feel that Nancy Pelosi needs to let go of a few things here. She cannot get a $2.2 trillion number. She's got to pull back on that a little bit and accept some of the other things like infrastructure or other deals that they can work out as some way of making up for the losses that she wants to get with the state and local government. So hopefully she will do that, but we do see more optimism today. As always, if you have not subscribed to the channel, consider subscribing. I would love to have you come along with me. Once again, I will catch you next time.